In every war, invention is born from desperation. But during World War II, imagination itself became a weapon. Across continents, engineers, dreamers, and madmen turned impossible ideas into steel, fire, and flight. Some succeeded. Some failed spectacularly. Yet, each left behind a story of courage, chaos, and chance. From the Arctic ice to the Pacific's burning waters, these were the inventions that defied logic. Weapons so unlikely they seemed pulled from science fiction. And yet, for a few brief years, they became terrifyingly real. In Nazi Germany, desperation took form in the name Wunderwaffe, the wonder weapons. When defeat loomed, Hitler turned to science for salvation. Jet fighters, ballistic missiles, even space planes, ideas decades ahead of their time. The Me-262, the world's first jet fighter, could outrun anything in the sky. Allied pilots feared it, but Germany built too few, too late. Its engines burned out after 25 hours, its fuel scarce. Technology had leapt forward, but logistics had fallen apart. Then came the V-2 rocket, the first ballistic missile. 3,000 struck London and Antwerp. It flew faster than sound, impossible to stop. Yet it cost Germany more fuel and labor than it could ever repay. A miracle weapon that couldn't win a war. Across the Channel, British minds were busy with quiet miracles. From invisible radar beams to bouncing bombs, Britain fought with science. Engineer Barnes Wallis designed the bouncing bomb to shatter German dams. It skipped like a stone, ingenious, precise, deadly. When the dams burst, floodwaters tore through factories and rail lines. For a moment, physics itself fought on Britain's side, and in secret coastal bunkers, a new weapon was humming: radar. Invisible waves that could see through fog and darkness. It was Britain's invisible shield, and the reason the Battle of Britain was ever won. The United States turned its industrial genius toward strange dreams too. The bat bomb, the flying jeep, even a plan to paint ships with luminous bacteria. The bat bomb, brainchild of a dentist named Little Adams. Thousands of bats carrying tiny firebombs, meant to set Japan's cities ablaze. It actually worked, too well. During testing, the bats burned down their own U.S. air base. The flying jeep was another dream. Part car, part helicopter. Engineers hoped it could lift troops across rivers and jungles. It never left prototype stage, but it showed how war pushes the limits of invention. Japan, too, dreamed of impossible machines, from suicide submarines to fire balloons that crossed the Pacific. Between 1944 and 1945, Japan released 9,000 Fugo balloons, silent bombs carried by jet streams toward America. Only a handful reached land, yet one killed 6 civilians in Oregon, the only U.S. deaths from enemy action on home soil. Proof that chance, not design, often decided war. Some weapons were pure madness. The Soviet anti-tank dogs, trained to run under enemy tanks. The ice aircraft, a Canadian project to build ships from frozen sawdust. The ghost army of inflatable tanks and sound trucks that fooled German generals. Not every weapon was fired. Some fought only in the mind, in fear, in illusion, in faith. And in that realm, even the strangest ideas had power. The war of invention was far from over. From these strange beginnings would come rockets, computers, and satellites. The weapons of tomorrow, born from the chaos of yesterday. When the guns fell silent in 1945, the world believed the war was over. But deep inside the ruins of laboratories and bunkers, a different kind of battle had already begun, a race to seize the future. From the ashes of war rose a new empire, of science, of machines, of minds. The technology that once killed millions would now define peace, power, and progress. The Me-262's jet engines, the V-2's rocket guidance, the secret codes of Enigma, all would be reborn in a world desperate for speed and dominance. The most powerful legacy of Germany's wonder weapons didn't end in Berlin. It continued under new flags. Operation Paperclip, an American mission to capture Nazi scientists before the Soviets did. Among them, Werner von Braun, the father of the V-2. His rockets had once rained death on London. Now, under the stars and stripes, they would carry mankind to space. The same technology that delivered warheads would deliver astronauts. The Saturn V moon rocket, the pride of the space race, was born from the bones of the V-2. Humanity had turned its deadliest weapon into a vessel of dreams. But not every battlefield was made of metal. Some wars were fought in silence, on paper, in code, and inside the mind. The Allied victory owed much to one unseen hero, the machine that broke Enigma. In the heart of Bletchley Park, mathematician Alan Turing built the first computer brain. His machine, the bomb, learned to think faster than any human. From that single invention came the age of computers. Every screen, every signal, every byte we use today carries a trace of a war fought in silence. Above the clouds, new machines were being born. The war's aircraft, once symbols of death, became pioneers of speed and exploration. In 1947, the Bell X-1 broke the sound barrier. Its design borrowed from German jet research, captured after the war. The age of supersonic flight had begun, a direct descendant of the war that once scarred the skies. Fighter jets, passenger airliners, even stealth technology. All trace their roots to the experiments of the 1940s. The race to dominate the skies had become a race to master the heavens. Not all inventions were born from brilliance. Some came from darkness, from the twisted pursuit of knowledge without conscience. In Japan's Unit 731, human lives became experiments. Frostbite, plague, and poison tested on prisoners, all in the name of science. The world would learn the horrors of what unchecked innovation could create. Across the Atlantic, secret American labs explored nuclear medicine, psychological warfare, and radiation exposure. The line between defense and atrocity blurred. The atomic age had dawned, not as a triumph, but as a warning. The machines of the future could now unmake the world. When the last shots of World War II faded, a new war began, without battlefields or borders. The same scientists who built weapons for Germany and America now built for ideology. Capitalism and communism raced not for victory, but for survival. The jet age became the missile age. The missile age became the nuclear age, and all of it began in the chaos of 1945. From radar came satellites. From code breaking came the internet. From the atom bomb came nuclear power and fear. Every dream, every terror of the modern world began with the inventions of war. The weapons of yesterday became the tools of tomorrow. Humanity had survived its own imagination, but the question remained: would we ever learn to use our genius without repeating our mistakes? The Second World War was fought on the ground, in the air, and at sea. But another war raged in the shadows, a secret battle of production where steel, smoke, and secrecy forged the weapons of survival. Beneath the mountains of Europe and the deserts of America, entire cities of machines were born. They were the hidden heart of the war, the shadow factories. In Germany, as Allied bombs scorched the skies, Hitler's scientists dug deeper, moving their war industry underground. Mines, caves, and tunnels became factories. Machines ran where sunlight could not reach. The Nazis called it Untertageverlagerung, the underground relocation. More than 1,000 secret facilities scattered across the Reich. Slave labor built them. Fear maintained them. Deep beneath the Harz Mountains, a monstrous project was taking shape, codenamed Mittelwerk. Here, in suffocating tunnels, tens of thousands of forced laborers worked to build the W2 rockets. Each rocket that rose toward the heavens claimed lives in the darkness below. Innovation and atrocity, bound together in steel. At the Dora Mittelbau camp, death was measured not in battles, but in shifts. Men died building the very weapon that would make history. When the Allies finally reached these caverns, they found something more shocking than any weapon: blueprints for the future. Jet engines, stealth bombers, even orbital weapons. The world realized that Germany had not just fought a war of land and air, it had fought for tomorrow. Britain's factories were smaller, but no less secret. Hidden beneath hills, in quarries, and even in subway tunnels, workers toiled day and night. They called them shadow factories. Thousands of ordinary men and women, factory girls, mechanics, engineers, working in secret locations to produce aircraft, engines, and munitions. Their names never appeared in newspapers. But without them, the RAF could never have flown. In Birmingham, Coventry, and Manchester, entire industries were duplicated underground. Every screw, every bolt, every plane part had a twin, hidden away, ready to replace what bombing destroyed. Britain's genius was not only in invention, but in illusion. Decoy factories, fake cities painted on rooftops, cardboard airfields, all designed to fool the Luftwaffe. A nation at war had turned deception into survival. Across the Atlantic, the United States faced a different challenge: scale. How do you arm a world and keep its secrets safe? The answer: hidden towns. Oak Ridge, Tennessee, one of the most secret cities on Earth. 75,000 people lived there, yet few knew what they were building. Behind locked gates and false names, they enriched uranium for the atomic bomb. Entire neighborhoods sprang from nothing. Children played near barbed wire. Wives cooked dinners for scientists they could not name. And in the Nevada desert, the most powerful machine in history was being assembled in silence. The American war machine was not only industrial, it was psychological. It turned secrecy into culture, and the ultimate secret, the bomb, would change the nature of power forever. As the Pacific burned, Japan too built in the shadows. Caves, tunnels, even schools were turned into armories. In the final years of the war, Japan's mountains became its last factories. In Nagano and Kyoto, students built fighter parts by hand. Engineers designed wooden gliders to defend the homeland. With resources gone, Japan turned to imagination. Bamboo rockets, human torpedoes, kamikaze drones. Each invention was born of desperation, and when the war ended, their blueprints vanished into history's shadows, never seen again. When peace came, the shadow factories were abandoned, their tunnels flooded, their machines rusted. Yet their influence endured. The Cold War was built on their bones. The idea of secrecy, of invisible industry, became permanent. The CIA's black projects, the Soviet research cities, the nuclear bunkers of Europe, all trace their origins to these wartime ghosts. They remind us that progress is not always born in light. Sometimes the future begins in darkness. Beneath the battlefields of history lies a secret world of creation and sacrifice. Factories that built dreams and nightmares, machines that shaped destiny. The war in the shadows never truly ended. It merely moved deeper underground. In every war, truth is the first casualty, and in World War II, illusion became an art form. While tanks rolled and bombers roared, another kind of weapon was forged, one made not of metal, but of imagination. A weapon that could deceive entire armies and win battles without firing a shot. These were the engines of illusion, machines of sound, light, and trickery. Born from artists, magicians, and engineers, they turned deception into science. In 1944, the Allies prepared to invade Europe. But before they landed on D-Day, they unleashed a ghost. Officially known as the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops, it was a secret U.S. Army unit made of artists, sound engineers, and designers. Their mission? Create an entire fake army to mislead the Nazis. They carried inflatable tanks, false radio chatter, and massive speakers that could project engine sounds for miles. Using paint, sound, and illusion, they made divisions appear and vanish overnight. To the Germans, they were ghosts. To history, they became legends. Their masterpiece came before D-Day, Operation Fortitude. The Ghost Army convinced Hitler that the Allies would land in Pas-de-Calais, not Normandy. Thousands of inflatable vehicles and fake radio networks played their part. And when the real invasion struck, the German army was staring in the wrong direction. It was one of the greatest illusions ever performed, and it helped decide the fate of Europe. Across the Channel, British intelligence had perfected the art of deception. They called it the double-cross system. Captured German spies were turned into double agents, feeding false information straight to Berlin. Entire divisions of phantom troops were created through forged letters, radio codes, and staged photography. Operation Mincemeat was perhaps the boldest. The British dressed a corpse as a Royal Marine officer, planted fake invasion plans on him, and released the body off the coast of Spain. The Germans found it and believed it. Sicily's defenses shifted, saving thousands of Allied lives. The man was dead, but his deception lived. Even in war, imagination could be as lethal as bullets. In the age of radio, sound itself became a battlefield. Across Europe and the Pacific, entire divisions were commanded by the voice of illusion. The U.S. Army's sonic units could fake the sound of hundreds of tanks or aircraft. Massive loudspeakers broadcasted moving convoys, making the enemy reposition troops to face shadows. Propaganda, too, became a weapon. Voices like Tokyo Rose and Axis Sally whispered through enemy radios, spreading fear, doubt, and seduction. Not bullets, but words pierced the front lines. The war of the airwaves was unseen, but its impact was immense. Soldiers fought not only against enemies, but against echoes. Beyond spies and soldiers, artists, too, fought their own war. The battlefields of illusion needed painters, sculptors, and stage designers. British artists' camouflage section disguised airfields as farmland. American sculptors designed fake factories to draw enemy bombers away. From the deserts of Egypt to the jungles of Burma, deception became a discipline. The war had turned creativity into camouflage. Every brushstroke, every trick of light, another weapon in the arsenal of illusion. Behind every illusion lay a deeper truth. Wars are not only fought for land, but for belief. Hitler's propaganda machine, led by Joseph Goebbels, turned lies into power. Images, films, and speeches painted the illusion of invincibility. It wasn't just a war for weapons, it was a war for the human mind. Across the world, governments learned the lesson: control perception, and you control destiny. From then on, propaganda would never leave the battlefield. And yet, for every illusion that misled armies, there were also illusions that saved them. The ghost army, the decoys, the painted skies. They remind us that imagination can destroy, but also protect. The engines of illusion were never meant to last. When the war ended, their ghosts faded quietly into history. But every modern war, every deception, every digital illusion we see today owes its existence to the tricksters of World War II. The war ended. The guns fell silent. But the machines, the engines of war, of illusion, of invention, did not rest. From the ashes of conflict came a new kind of power, a power that would build the modern world. What began as desperation in battle became the blueprint of a new era. Every radar pulse, every decoding machine, every jet turbine, every deception, they were not endings. They were beginnings. The weapons of chance became tools of peace. Radar, once designed to detect bombers, evolved into air traffic control and weather prediction. The code-breaking computers at Bletchley Park gave birth to the digital revolution. In the race to survive, humans had invented the future. The circuits of war became the circuits of civilization. From radar to radio, from missiles to medicine, technology born in the shadows of battle now illuminated homes and hospitals. But behind each invention lay the memory of sacrifice. The progress of peace was written in the blueprints of war. The skies of World War II had become laboratories of speed and innovation. The British Gloucester Meteor, the German Me-262, the American P-80 Shooting Star. Each was a glimpse into tomorrow. The jet engine, first perfected by desperation, would redefine travel, power, and global connection. The world that once fought across oceans could now cross them in hours. The roar of the jet became the heartbeat of the 20th century. The sound of a world forever changed by the fires of war. In the war's darkest days, Alan Turing and his team cracked the enigma. They built Colossus, the world's first programmable digital computer. It was a weapon of logic, created to outthink chaos. What they didn't know was that Colossus would outlive the war. It would evolve into the computers that run our lives today. Every email, every satellite, every digital command, it all traces back to a secret wartime lab in a quiet English estate. War had created machines that could think, but it would take peace to teach them how to dream. As scientists built computers to decode the enemy, others built a weapon to end all enemies. The Manhattan Project, an empire of secrecy, physics, and fear, unleashed the atom. The atomic bomb ended World War II. But it also began something new, the war that could never be fought again. The Cold War was not born from hatred. It was born from memory, a memory of fire too powerful to forget. Nuclear energy lit cities and powered nations, but its shadow loomed over humanity. For the first time, mankind held the power to destroy itself. The final blueprint of war was no longer a machine. It was a choice. The decades that followed were filled with echoes of World War II's technology. The jet became the space rocket. The radar became the satellite. the computer, became the network. Every invention that once served destruction now reached for the stars. The dream of global communication, digital intelligence, and instant connectivity. All born from the blueprints of survival. Humanity had turned the tools of chaos into instruments of creation. The weapons of chance had written the code of progress. Yet, for every scientist or soldier remembered, there are thousands forgotten. The camouflage painter, the radio operator, the test pilot who never returned, the mechanic who welded history into being. These unsung architects shape the world we live in. One rivet, one code, one spark at a time. Today, the illusions of the past live in our screens. The machines of war whisper in our technology. The ghosts of the Ghost Army echo in digital deception and cyber warfare. The line between illusion and reality is blurred once again, not in battlefields, but in data, media, and minds. And so the final blueprint of World War II is not a machine. It is us, humanity itself, forever shaped by its own inventions, from smoke and steel to silicon and light. The legacy of World War II lives in every engine, every circuit, every human dream of control and survival. The war is over, but the blueprint remains.